Hello students, welcome to week 4 for COM 555. This week we are looking at digital media and doing some analyses within the forms of digital media that are kind of expanding our thoughts in terms of looking at communication in this digital age. If you look at the week 4 agenda, you'll see we are reading the network text this week. We're beginning our exploration within that. We're also reading two handouts from the WHO, the World Health Organization, about Ebola. One is their training handout they gave to practitioners actually working on the scene when the Ebola crisis hit. And then the second one is the strategic plan that they had in terms of communicating globally about this topic, primarily using online and digital media. In addition, we're watching a series of videos that are all related towards our digital communication campaign analysis number 1. And then we also have discussion number 4, which has original post due on Friday with replies due on Sunday. If you take a look at the digital media analysis number 1, you'll find that we're going to do 2 of these throughout the semester, and both of them have very similar formats. What we'll be doing on the second one is we'll be changing the topic and focusing on the UNESCO Slave Route Awareness Project. So as you look at that, be aware of it and just know that this topic is going to be very similar in terms of the structure and what we're doing. So what you'll be doing is watching all videos that are posted in this week's module related to the topic, which is the WHO's Ebola Strategic Plan project. You'll read the strategic plan and the additional WHO Ebola training handout, and then analyze anything you can find online related to this topic. It would be good for you to look at other media coverage besides that was put out by the WHO organization, and look at what was covered about that, because in large part a lot that was disseminated across the world and through global media outlets like MSNBC, Al Jazeera, things like that, the BBC, was information derived from the World Health Organization. So they were really the leaders in controlling the communication about Ebola and then disseminated it across multiple media outlets. So it's important you look at other content related to Ebola, not just what WHO put out. After you've done all of that, you're going to write a 5 to 7 page paper utilizing complete APA format that provides a summary and situation analysis of the Ebola crisis. You need to specifically describe what communication exists about this topic, what the coverage was, and the need for digital communication as a strategy for this type of global communication crisis. You also need to analyze and share all global media coverage that was related to the topic that you found. Compare the dissemination of coverage with concepts from course readings and theories covered in the course, and provide me with at least 3 examples of what you found were the best or maybe exemplary media coverage related to this topic. That can include some of the WHO information you found online, but also make sure it includes other media outlets as well. The third thing you'll do is determine how effective the coverage of this topic was in building awareness of the topic and globally communicating to the world about Ebola, and then share the communication, how this communication campaign could have possibly been approved or improved, or if it's exemplary in its current form, share why you think that. And really, if any improvement is needed, provide an action plan or create a plan for re-implementation about this particular topic using current digital media tools. So Instagram, Snapchat, things like that. Lastly, you'll need to share a topic of how this is related, share how this topic is related to the course readings, and then provide a reflection of the campaign and how Christian perspective could be integrated into the communicative aspects of the topic, and provide a communication plan for that. So essentially what you're doing is analyzing the topic provided, which is the WHO Ebola strategic plan, and looking at what they did to communicate about that, and analyzing and determining its effectiveness across a number of different things. All of this is on Blackboard, and you'll have plenty of time to go through it. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Discussion number 4 asks you to conduct a content analysis and evaluate one social network of your choice. This can be one that you are active on, or it could be one that you're not on. When we ask for a content analysis, I'm simply asking you to not just analyze your own post if you're on that particular social network site, but look and see what some of the business media outlets are saying, and some of the tech world is saying about that particular site, and determine what the primary functions of the social network are from a communicative perspective. Analyze 2 research articles related to the site, determining how it may be influencing communication research, and then determining and evaluating how the social network may be instrumental in digital communication in terms of a revolutionary idea, and how this may influence how we communicate with each other as a whole. Do know there is a lot out there on Facebook from a scholarly perspective. It's one of the ones that's been around the longest now that we have had enough time as communication scholars to really look at, but don't discount other ones like Snapchat and Instagram and things like that. There's definitely usefulness in there and looking at research articles. Remember, this post needs to be at least 400 words. It's due on Friday with the replies due on Sunday. And looking at Ebola, it's supposed to know that it's important just to kind of highlight who is and what they've done to respond to this global crisis. So here are the strategic objectives from the WHO strategic plan that was posted on Blackboard. So they came up with, in terms of this rapidly spreading disease, they came up with a strategic plan right away. What they decided was that they were going to have 5 goals. The first goal was to stop the transmission of Ebola virus in the affected countries that it was currently found in, prevent new outbreaks of Ebola in all areas of the world, safely reactivate essential health services and increasing resilience in those health services, fast-track Ebola research and development worldwide, as well as coordinating national and international Ebola response teams to go in there and actually help those that have been affected by that. WHO has really led the international community in developing health strategies and approaches to control and end the Ebola outbreak, as well as other outbreaks of this matter. They're still actively engaged on the front line, implementing many of the major health interventions used to date. So this response crisis is not over. We are at the point where we're analyzing it because now it's in control, but they're still implementing many things just to make sure that it doesn't turn into an outbreak again. So to support response in operation, WHO currently has 700 staff deployed to all 36 districts, prefectures, and countries across the 3 worst affected countries of the Ebola outbreak in this crisis. The largest emergency operation the organization has ever undertaken in the history of WHO. In August 2014, they drafted an Ebola response roadmap that set out the core strategy from a communicative perspective for stopping this unprecedented outbreak to provide the basis for a significantly increased response and the basis for the UN system overview of needs and requirements, the ONR. In addition to that, these were designed to assist governments and partners in the revision and resourcing of country-specific operational plans for Ebola responses and to aid in the coordination of international support to fully implement those plans. So the ONR was really used as the basis for a massive scale-up in the response of WHO and leading the technical and health agencies in the efforts on the front lines to stop Ebola in those most affected countries. Really, the first phase of the strategy successfully tackled the largest outbreak of Ebola ever witnessed worldwide and helped reverse the rapid increase in case numbers seen up until September of 2014. The second phase of the strategy has already shown it is possible to reduce cases in both densely populated urban areas as well as remote rural areas, including Monrovia, which is in Liberia, as well as the forest areas of Guinea. So the program really has determined that from mass campaigns like polio eradication initiatives that were used to detailed microplanning in every household and things of that nature, they were able to develop a campaign that they could put into action fairly quickly. Learning the lessons from those successes, like the polio eradication, which took 50 years or so, WHO was able to work with partners to drive the number of cases in this outbreak down to 0. So because of the global digital age we live in, we were able to really fast track our response to Ebola so it didn't reach epidemic proportions worldwide. So this is why we're covering this case study, so you can kind of take a look at it and see what digital strategies really helped in increasing the speed of really getting this under control. One theory I wanted to highlight that's heavily used in media effects that's really applicable to looking at our discussion number 4 this week is parasocial interaction. It was developed by Horton and Wall in 1956 and is really considered a media effects and interpersonal communication theory. That may seem kind of as like a misnomer. And the reason for that it's considered both is because parasocial interaction relies on mediated communication, but in a sense, the interaction aspect of this theory creates this interpersonal connection with those that you are communicating with through mediated communication, so not face-to-face communication. Interpersonal interaction and media communication under this theory are often governed by similar communicative principles like adaptability, empathy, and sociability. Parasocial interaction really examines the media effects of interpersonal interactions and communication through various forms of mediated communication. It often it offers an explanation of the relationships people develop with media personae and or celebrities. In a nutshell, parasocial interaction tells us that people develop one-sided relationships with those that have heightened awareness in a community, so celebrity status primarily. And those when if so what we're saying is that somebody may feel as if they have a real relationship with a celebrity based off of all of the mediated communication they've consumed about that person. But in reality, in the real world, in terms of face-to-face communication, that person doesn't know them and there's not a relationship at all. So parasocial interaction occurs as of an effect of mediated communication. That's where it comes into play. So as you look at the social network you choose to look at this week in the discussion board, it's important to keep something like that in mind when you're looking at some of your scholarly journals. What is Instagram telling us about these Instagram celebrities that have reached heightened fame and have millions of followers on Instagram, and what we think of them? Is some parasocial action occurring? So keep some things like that in mind. As we look at the week 4 agenda, please keep in mind, again, we're reading our network text. We have a good 3 or 4 weeks to get that text read, so you're reading it at your leisure in terms of what you get done each week. You just need to be reading something from it. We also are reading 2 of the WHO handouts related to Ebola. We're watching some videos all related to the Ebola crisis, and then we're completing discussion board number 4, which has its post due on Friday and the replies on Sunday, and digital communication campaign analysis number 1. I pray you all have a blessed week. If you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to interacting with you.